Good evening, and welcome back to the Archive of Truth. Welcome to News Around. In the vast, tangled web of celebrity narratives, there are stories that scream for attention, and then there are stories that simply are. The former burn bright and fade fast, the latter take root in the soul and grow. Today, we are following a thread that has turned the established timelines upside down, stretching from the glittering banks of the Bosphorus to the quiet, snow-dusted streets of Bulgaria. We are talking about a single holiday snapshot that managed to bend the narrative of an entire season. How did Hazal Subaşı, with a grace that borders on the ethereal, gently open a door that Erkan Meriç has kept bolted shut for years? And what is the question glimmering behind every comment, every like, and every shared post? Is a wedding quietly taking shape in the shadows of this newfound openness? For months, the internet has been a battlefield of theories, pairing Urkin with co-stars, analyzing his silences, and projecting desires onto his career. But this week, the noise stopped. It stopped because the truth, calm, smiling, and undeniable, sat down at a table and let itself be photographed. Today, we are deconstructing the collapse of the Demet fantasy, the rise of the Hazal reality, and the profound transformation of a leading man who has finally decided to let the light in. Before we step into this story of quiet revolution, I have a crucial request for our loyal community. If you value journalism that looks past the PR stunts to find the human heart, please make sure you are subscribed to News Around. And for those who wish to be the pillars of our channel, the true producers of these deep dives, I invite you to click the join button right next to the subscribe icon. Your membership allows us to tell these stories with the depth they deserve. Now, let us look at the photo that changed everything. To truly grasp the weight of this moment in Erkan Meriç's personal life, we have to first map the professional arc he's currently riding. 2025 has not just been another year on the calendar for him, it has been a turning point. Call it a return, call it a recalibration, or call it a renaissance. Whatever the label, Urkin has stepped out from the niche shadows where he honed his craft and re-entered the blindingly bright center of popular attention. It wasn't just about landing a new role, it felt like a recalibrated mission. After years of testing himself with darker edges, understated characters, and projects that favored artistic substance over commercial frenzy, he found himself carrying a primetime narrative that asked for all his magnetism and discipline at once. The result? It wasn't simply high ratings. It was conversation. It was cultural impact. We saw threads upon threads on social media where viewers became forensic analysts, dissecting silent beats in his performance, praising scenes where a mere flicker of restraint read like thunder. Fans and critics alike called it a pinnacle. And as is always the case in the ecology of stardom, when the work blazes, the curiosity about the human behind it explodes. Magazines, gossip pages, and the collective imagination of the public went hunting for a partner worthy of this story. The pressure of that search is exactly where Urkin found himself this season. There is a certain, almost unfair expectation that clings to leading men. If they are luminous on screen, the world demands a real-life romance to match that brilliance. In this vacuum of information, the public mind hates emptiness. So, it created a story. A while back, the collective imagination seized on a possibility, and Demet's name began to swirl at the center of a shipping storm that threatened to consume reality. It is a familiar rhythm in our industry. Two charismatic performers share a frame, a look, or even just a similar trajectory, and their professional synergy gets mistaken for a romantic confession. The camera captures a look, a breath, a pause, and suddenly the comment section morphs into certainty. Was it real? Was there a secret? Did they keep it off the grid to protect it? That chorus grew louder, fueled by behind-the-scenes clips taken out of context and moments dissected from every conceivable angle. Let's address it plainly and respectfully. A significant segment of the fandom clung to the fantasy of pairing Urkin with Demet because the idea had romance baked into it. It was the equation of talent meeting talent, timing meeting timing, longing translated into headlines. Their professional rapport fulfilled exactly what it was supposed to: believable chemistry, an ease of movement, the elegant illusion that pulls an audience into the story. But off camera, the air was entirely different. The spark didn't jump the line. The rumor lived on in fan edits and speculative threads, but the truth had settled itself someplace else, quiet, absolute, and waiting for its moment to be seen. While the ship sailed in circles online, Urkin's real life was taking form beyond the noise, far from the performance. And that is where the mood shifts from spectacle to substance. Enter Hazal Subaşı. The way Hazal stepped into this chapter feels like the inverse of the frenzy that surrounded the Demet rumors. There were no dramatics. No cryptic declarations. No staged paparazzi walks. There was only a stillness that says more than a viral moment ever could. Their past is not a mystery to the old guard of fans. There was a time when their names were spoken together with a different kind of certainty. They know what it means to be looked at by millions and to be reduced to labels in the process. Yet this time around, if you believe those close to them, the ground was laid not by fireworks but by familiarity. Shared work histories and private respect were the first language they spoke. This was not the jolt of a new obsession, but a recalibration of something that never needed hype to exist. It was built on late-night conversations after long days of filming. It was forged in quiet walks after a crowded set. It was cemented in the mutual understanding of what it means to carry your image like a second skin, and how to live separately from it. The slow burn here is the entire point. In an industry that prizes the sprint, Urkin and Hazal chose the marathon. To truly appreciate why the recent photo changed the atmosphere so drastically, we have to remember the old Urkin. This was the man who refused to play the exposure game. He was the anti-celebrity. No anniversary captions, no curated airport strolls, no winking at paparazzi lenses for an easy headline. His emotional weather has always been a mystery to be guessed at, not a story to be fed to the masses. But with Hazal in the frame, small signals began to surface. These were not stunts, but choices. A joint appearance that wasn't quite an announcement but felt like one. A birthday message that carried a warmth slightly too intimate to be shrugged off as just friends. A shared smile that didn't flinch when a camera wandered into the room. These breadcrumbs were not accidents, they were permission structures. There's a saying among those who track celebrity currents, when it's real, hiding becomes unnecessary. In recent months, Urkin's ease has read like a quiet manifesto. He isn't performing for us anymore. He's existing. And for the first time in a long time, he is not bothered if the world witnesses it. I want to pause here and ask you, the insightful viewers of News Around, have you noticed this change in Urkin? Do you prefer the mysterious, guarded actor, or this new, open, and smiling version? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Hazal is the reason for this glow? Which brings us to the spark of this week's uproar, a simple, sunlit table in Bulgaria. The picture wasn't sensational. It didn't feature a diamond ring or a scandalous kiss. That's exactly why it detonated. It carried the tender ordinariness that fame almost never allows. There was Hazal, face at rest, no heavy makeup, smiling in a way that had nothing to prove to anyone. There was Urkin, shoulders unburdened, looking like someone who had hit the reset button on his life 2 days earlier and decided to stay there. It was the first time he allowed such a clear, unfiltered glimpse of domestic calm. This was the kind of moment that never needs a stylist or a lighting plan. Just two people, a warm table, and the atmosphere of two lives that have settled into each other's rhythms. The reaction on X was immediate and strangely unified. The timeline didn't fracture into a war, it fell quiet in appreciation. Comments rolled in, one after another, "This is what peace looks like. I've never seen Urkin this light." Those who shipped him with Demet need only look into his eyes here to see the truth. Hazal didn't change him, she softened the noise around him. Of course, there were holdouts, those who miss the mystery, who lament the shift from untouchable idol to visible human. But the dominant emotion was relief. Audiences seem tired of the melodrama that consumes itself. They want something steady. They want something that mirrors their own hope that life can be warm and ordinary even at the height of public attention. Now for the question that refuses to leave any comment section alone: are they moving toward marriage? Predictions are everywhere. Some are cautious, merely noting the seriousness of the bond. Others are bold, claiming to hear wedding bells. Nearly there, writes one user. This is the chapter before the vows, says another. Is this just wishful thinking, or is there logic in the pattern? If we chart the signs, the case is not flimsy. Shared travel is a big step. Circles of friends blending until the lines blur is another. Time spent with family on both sides without a fuss is the ultimate signifier. These are the old signals that still carry massive meaning in the celebrity universe. What makes the timing especially telling is that Urkin has chosen openness at the exact moment his career glow is strongest. Traditionally, this is when a star is advised to guard the illusion of availability to remain the single heartthrob. By declining that playbook and letting this bond be seen, he's making his priorities plain. Life first. Image second. And where does this leave Demet Özdemir in the narrative? In many ways, that Bulgaria table was the most graceful answer to every whisper that has dogged her and Urkin. There was no statement issued by a publicist. No denial posted to Instagram stories in black and white text. Just an image that cancelled the script others tried to write. It proved that on-screen chemistry is a craft, a skill to be honed. The chemistry of peace is a decision, a life to be lived. Nothing here diminishes Demet's talent or their professional synergy. If anything, it restores the boundary between performance and private road. It frees them both. What it underscores, above all, is the consistency of Hazal's presence. She does not overplay her hand. She doesn't fade away into the background, nor does she need the spotlight to validate her part in the story. She works, grows, and stands beside a partner without turning the stage into a competition. That kind of balance, in a business that rarely rewards it, becomes radical. As we close the loop on this analysis, one truth lingers in the air. In a culture addicted to noise, some loves shout and perform until they collapse under their own weight. We see them every day, the flashbulb romances that burn out in months. Others take root in quiet places, in the corner of a set, at a small restaurant table abroad, on a late drive home where no cameras follow. The story of Erkan Meriç and Hazal Subaşı belongs to that second, rarer kind. There are no manufactured clashes here. No orchestrated leaks. No PR acrobatics dressed up as intimacy. Just a bond that keeps choosing calm over spectacle. Maybe it's too soon to engrave the wedding invitations. Maybe the internet wants the season finale before the middle episodes have even played out. But we can say this with certainty, it has been a long while since we've seen Urkin this centered, this sure, and this at ease in his own skin. And perhaps, in 2026, that is the most romantic headline of all. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the quiet revolution of Urkin and Hazal. What do you think about their soft launch in Bulgaria? Do you believe a wedding is on the horizon for this year? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below, we read every single one. Please, do not forget to like this video if you appreciated the storytelling. Subscribe to News Around so you never miss an update on your favorite stars. And a massive, heartfelt thank you to our Join members, you are the reason we can keep telling these stories. Until next time, find your peace. Goodbye.